Hello again. We are Chris Lee and Jay Greeson of Southeastern 16 here to give you three bold predictions for the Tennessee Volunteers for the 2025 football season. These are brought to you by our friends at FanDuel, where you can get player props, same game parlays. FanDuel's SGP menu is deep and impressive, so you can really build some fun combinations around player performances and game outcomes. And this got you covered with competitive odds and tons of betting options. Just remember to bet responsibly and have fun with it. Jay Greeson, anything at FanDuel that catches your eye pertaining to the Vols?
Well, there are a couple of talking points that are interesting as far as numbers and the core of FanDuel, which is sports gambling. 2 weeks ago, I got in on my FanDuel account. I got Tennessee minus the 13.5 in the season opener against Syracuse. That number is starting to grow. It's at minus 14.5 now. And if I had to guess, we'll probably get even bigger before we get closer to kickoff.
Well, let's give some predictions. Some of these may help you decide whether you like that or not. I'll start with mine, Jay, on the Vols. People who've listened to me know that I really like Tennessee's defense this coming year. I think the Vols will finish in the top 10 in total and scoring defense this year with just a loaded defense and a schedule, frankly, that's a little bit conducive to maybe putting that up. Not that they got a bad schedule, but it's not what Alabama got.
No, it's not what Alabama's got. It's not even really what Georgia has. But no, the schedule is assuredly doable, especially when you factor in what should be a 4-0 non-conference, and 3 of them should be cakewalks.
Yeah. Your bold prediction, your first one on the Vols.
I am taking Tennessee under the 8.5 wins that FanDuel has set.
Okay. Quarterback troubles, part of that potentially?
Quarterback troubles, no Dylan Sampson to rely on. They get a couple of weeks to make certain they've got the pieces where they want them across a rebuild offensive line. There's talent there for sure, but I don't see any way anybody could expect Tennessee to lead the SEC in rushing again. And the quarterback questions, they just had their first full scrimmage, and Josh Heupel still not ready to designate a QB1. So that tells you either the gap, and that could be a good thing. The Merklinger kid could be a lot better than any of us expected, but I think the plausible assumption there is that Joey Aguilar has not grabbed this job by the horns yet. Or maybe they just want to keep everybody motivated. There's a multitude of ways to interpret that news, but I don't know how many other teams around the league we don't feel real comfortable betting on who QB1 is going to be here on August 11th.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of folks' concern. I almost thought about going Tennessee starts 3 different guys at quarterback this year. And oddly enough, I went with the one instead as my number 2 prediction that you just said wouldn't happen. And I've got some doubts on that because if Tennessee can't throw, people will crowd the line of scrimmage. But I picked Tennessee to lead the league in rushing because I do think that they may be more inclined to run it than ever. Tennessee's got 3 pretty good backs in camp. I mean, here, Star Thomas has been maybe, I don't know if better than advertised is the way to phrase it, but been pretty good. And another thing I like about the Vols, they've done pretty well at bringing in linemen in the portal and in recruiting. And I know he had a rough year last year, but Lance Hurd was the number 16 recruit in America 2 classes ago, and then they brought in David Sanders at right tackle, who was a number 5 prospect. In between, they brought in Sam Pendleton and Wendell Moe to man the guard spots from Notre Dame and Arizona, where they had some experience there. I just think Tennessee, first of all, they're going to have more plays, right? So they're going to have more chance to rack up run yards. But I'm going to bet on them and Josh Heupel continuing to really rack up run number totals. Now, again, I'm a little scared on that if they don't have a quarterback, that's going to really eat into what teams can do with them rushing. But I'm going to bet on the history a little bit with Josh Heupel's offense.
Well, I think that's a fair assumption, but I also be curious to see how much they get running from the quarterback
Yeah.
as compared to in years past. But uh, my second prediction is, and this is as long as he's full go coming back from a January knee injury, Jermod McCoy is a Thorpe finalist. I think
Yeah.
he is a first round NFL dude. Uh, was among the SEC leaders in passes defended last year, as well as with had 4 interceptions. And the good folks at Pro Football Focus graded him out with a coverage rate at 89.6%, which is astounding. He's a second team All-American last year. I think he's going to have even a better year this year and be the biggest star on a star-studded Tennessee defense.
Yeah, I thought about going with a prediction around McCoy, maybe saying, oh, he's going to be a first rounder. Well, that's not that bold. He's getting listed as a first rounder already, maybe a middle of the first rounder. And then I thought about saying, well, maybe he leads the league in picks. But a lot of times when you've got a stud corner like that, people don't throw his way. But I think we're on the same page with the sentiment there with Jermod McCoy.
Well, your statement about guys avoiding corners, shutdown corners like that, reminds me at the height of his powers with the Atlanta Falcons, Deion Sanders had 1 interception. And in back-to-back years, Tim McKyer and the other guy on the other side, opposite Deion Sanders, led the NFL in interceptions. And it's because 90% of the throws were not going at Deion. So the numbers may not be gaudy, but I think we've got a lot of analytical folks these days who know shutdown corners when they see them. And Jermod McCoy is the definition of a shutdown corner.
Before we give our third and final pick for each of us, just a reminder, help out those who help the show. That is Game Time Sidekicks. This is my favorite mug in the house. It's a 40-ounce tumbler that holds water. It retains ice all day. It's got all 16 of the mascots in the SEC. Our friends at Game Time Sidekicks literally have thousands of these things available at their site. Go to GameTimeSidekicks.com and use promo code SE16 for 20% off your order. That and ROKFORM, another one of our favorites, Jay, they make a tremendous phone case. It is the world's strongest magnetic phone case. My goodness, I mean, eat your protein when you try to peel this thing off, whatever you have put it on that's metal, because, man, it is top of the line. I know every time the mail comes from Game Time Sidekicks and ROKFORM, everybody in the Greeson and Lee households gets very excited.
Yeah, they do. And it's understandable because when you make good gear, people covet your product. And case in point, in terms of our Game Time Sidekicks folks, we did a live chat earlier here on Southeastern 16, and I got rooked into a wager that I'm going to send one of our viewers an LSU cup if LSU wins over Clemson.
Yeah, which also you can get it at FanDuel if you're interested in that. But anyway, SE16 gets you 20% off at GameTimeSidekicks.com. SEC25 gets you 25% off your order at ROKFORM. That is ROKFORM.com. All right, Jay Greeson, my final prediction on the Vols. And again, I leaned on history with them because Tennessee is always one of the most disruptive defensive teams in the league in terms of plays for loss. And remember last year, James Pierce Jr., who was a first-round pick, played that Leo position where he was, I think, third in the SEC in stops for loss and really only a couple behind the leader. Guess who's playing that position without having to be in a timeshare this year with James Pierce? It is Joshua Josephs, who's been getting some preseason All-SEC love. I think he will lead the SEC in stops for loss.
Okay. Staying on that side of the ball, Tim Banks gets a head coaching job in the offseason.
Ooh, good call. Oh, I like that. Yeah. He's done a phenomenal job.
He was a Royals finalist last year. This may be the best defense Tennessee's had under Heupel, and maybe one of the best defenses they've had since the peak run, that 5-year window that Fulmer had where Tennessee was as good as anybody in America. They've got stars at each level. When you talk about Joseph, Arian, name flew out of my head. Arian Carter, linebacker's a tackling machine. We already talked about McCoy on the back end. That's leaving out Boo Carter. That's who did participate in the team drills and the scrimmage over the weekend. I think this defense is going to be next level good. I'm afraid they may lose a couple, 3 games the way Auburn fans have become accustomed, where the defense gets gassed with a hurry-up scheme that's not really turning the chains over, and you turn a 10-7 halftime lead into a couple of hard luck 21-16 second half losses.
Reminder on the way out, support those who support us. Our partner and sponsor of this show is FanDuel. Player props, same game parlays, and covered all over the place with competitive odds. Jay, one thing on the way out caught my eye on Tennessee. The Vols are plus 3,300 to win the conference. Look, crazier things than happen. I know that the quarterback talk has been the point of concern, but Tennessee is going to be an underdog probably to Georgia, but that'll be in Knoxville. They'll be an underdog to Alabama. That'll be on the road, and they'll be an underdog in Gainesville, but not probably a big one, according to what I'm looking at right now. Crazier stuff has happened than Tennessee winning the conference because they're going to be favored, I believe, in those other 5 games.
See, my takeaway in that was not necessarily about the number, because, yes, crazier stuff has happened. But in the eyes of FanDuel, Tennessee's only the 11th most likely team to win the league. 10 other SEC schools, including Oklahoma, including Auburn, including A&M, including South Carolina, have shorter odds to win the conference, which is what pointed me in the direction of under 8.5, because if I'm betting under 8.5 at FanDuel on Tennessee's season win total, with that non-conference, I've got them going 4-4 in the league.
Yeah. Well, if you believe in Tennessee's defense and you think the Vols will find a quarterback, those are pretty good odds, all things considered. So anyway, thank you guys for watching. Thank you to our sponsors. We'll have you covered here with SEC football all year. For Jay Greeson, I'm Chris Lee. God bless you. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again with more SEC football content here at Southeastern 16.